Walker, hold still. Cole's voice was low behind me, close enough that I felt it before I fully heard it. I froze with one hand still gripping the strap of my rucksack. We had just finished a 12-mile movement under a brutal Texas sun, and every muscle in my body felt like it had been beaten with a hammer. Around us, guys were dropping gear, complaining about blisters, arguing over who had stolen whose electrolyte packets. Normal noise. Normal exhaustion. Nothing about the moment should have felt private. Then Cole Mercer stepped closer and reached around me. Your shoulder straps twisted. His fingers worked beneath the edge of the webbing, brushing the side of my neck. It was probably an accident. It had to be. Still, my stomach tightened so fast it was embarrassing. I can fix it, I muttered. You've been saying that for 20 minutes. I could hear the smile in his voice. Cole was 27, 3 years older than me, and somehow always looked calm even when the rest of us were falling apart. He wasn't my squad leader, but everybody listened when he spoke. He had that kind of presence. Quiet. Solid. The kind that made you stand straighter without realizing it. His hand moved over my shoulder, adjusting the strap with slow, careful pressure. His knuckles touched my skin again. This time, neither of us moved right away. For 1 second, maybe 2, the noise around us faded. I stared straight ahead, pretending my heart wasn't pounding. Cole cleared his throat and stepped back. Better. I rolled my shoulder. Yeah. You're welcome. I turned, ready with some smart reply, but he was already watching me. Not casually. Not the way one soldier checks another after training. His eyes stayed on mine just a little too long. Then Mason shouted from across the staging area. Mercer, you done dressing Walker, or should we give you two some privacy? A few guys laughed. Heat climbed up my neck. Shut up, I called, forcing a grin. Cole didn't laugh. He looked at Mason, then back at me, his expression shutting down so quickly I almost thought I had imagined the whole thing. That was the problem with Cole. Every time I thought there might be something there, he gave me a perfectly reasonable explanation. He checked my gear because he was experienced. He saved me a seat in the transport because we worked well together. He remembered I hated powdered creamer because he remembered everything. None of it meant anything. That was what I kept telling myself. Later, after dinner, I checked the duty roster posted outside the operations room. My name was listed for the 2 a.m. perimeter watch. Great. For hours of standing in the dark, trying not to fall asleep. Then I saw the name beside mine. Mercer. I stared at it longer than I should have. Cole had been assigned to the midnight shift. I knew because he had complained about it that morning. I found him near the barracks steps, tightening the laces on his boots. You switched shifts. He glanced up. Looks like it. Why? Cole pulled the knot tight, then rested his arms on his knees. For a second, he just looked at me. That same unreadable expression. Figured you could use the company. My chest tightened. I tried to laugh it off. You think I can't handle 4 hours alone? I think you talk too much when you're tired. He stood, brushing past me close enough for his shoulder to touch mine. 2 a.m., Walker. Don't be late. I watched him walk away, telling myself it was nothing. Just a shift. Just a teammate. But at 2 in the morning, with the whole base asleep and Cole standing beside me in the dark, I started to wonder why he had really chosen me. At 2:14 in the morning, Cole handed me his coffee without asking. You look like you were losing a fight with gravity. I took the cup mostly because my fingers were cold. The night air had dropped fast, and the perimeter lights made everything beyond the fence look flatter and farther away than it really was. I am awake. Your eyes were closed. I was thinking. Cole leaned one shoulder against the post beside me. That explains the smoke. I laughed under my breath, then took a sip. Black coffee. 1 packet of sugar. Exactly how I drank it after night training. I looked at the cup, then at him. You remembered. His gaze stayed on mine for a second. You complained loudly. I mentioned it once. Still loudly. He looked away first, but not before I caught the smallest change in his expression. Not a smile. Something quieter. The base was almost silent around us. No boots on pavement. No instructors yelling. Just the hum of the lights and the occasional radio check. Without everyone else nearby, Cole seemed less guarded. His shoulders were looser. His voice softer. It made me nervous in a way I did not want to examine too closely. You miss home? He asked. The question came out of nowhere. I stared through the fence. Sometimes. Family. Mostly my sister. I rubbed my thumb over the warm paper cup. My parents too, I guess. They think I am avoiding dating because I am focused on work. Cole glanced over. Are you? My stomach dropped. Focused on work? Avoiding dating. I gave a short laugh that sounded fake even to me. That is a weird question for perimeter watch. You do not have to answer. He looked back toward the road, jaw tightening slightly. That should have ended it. Instead, I heard myself say, they would not really understand the full reason. Cole went still. Not dramatically, just enough that I noticed. Yeah, he murmured. Families are good at understanding the version of you that makes them comfortable. I turned toward him. Is that from experience? For a few seconds, he did not answer. His eyes stayed on the dark beyond the fence. There are things you keep quiet long enough, they start feeling like they belong to somebody else. My chest tightened. I wanted to ask what he meant. I wanted to ask if he was talking about himself. Before I could, something moved near the far barrier. Cole reacted instantly. His arm came across my chest, pulling me back against him. Stay. His hand flattened over my vest, right above my heartbeat. We both watched the shadows until a stray dog slipped under the outer light and disappeared again. Nothing. Just an animal. Cole should have moved. He did not. His chest was close behind my shoulder. His hand was still on me. My pulse hammered beneath his palm, fast enough that there was no way he could miss it. False alarm, I whispered. Yeah. His voice was rougher now. Neither of us moved. Then the radio crackled, and Cole stepped back so quickly the cold hit me all at once. He cleared his throat and adjusted the strap on his rifle. You okay? Fine. Another lie. He studied my face, like he knew it was one. The look lasted too long. Then he reached for the coffee still in my hand, but his fingers closed over mine instead. Just for a second. Warm skin. Firm grip. Neither of us pulled away immediately. Cole looked down at our hands, then back at me. Walker. The way he said my name made my throat go dry. What? His thumb shifted once against my knuckle before he let go. You do not have to pretend around me. By breakfast, Cole was acting like the night watch had never happened. He sat across the dining hall with Mason and two other guys, eating powdered eggs and laughing at something on Mason's phone. He did not look at me once. I told myself that was good. Normal. Exactly what I wanted. Then I noticed the empty chair beside him. The same chair he usually saved for me. I took a seat at another table and spent 10 minutes pretending the coffee tasted fine. Around noon, we loaded into a transport for weapons training. Every bench was crowded except the spot beside Cole. I hesitated at the door. His eyes lifted to mine. Just for a second. Then he moved his gear off the seat without saying anything. My chest tightened. I sat down. Our knees touched when the truck started moving. Neither of us shifted. Cole kept his attention on the road. Jaw set. One hand braced against the bench. You sleep at all? He asked quietly. A little. That means no. You always this controlling? His mouth twitched. Only when people make bad decisions. I drank your coffee. That was the worst one. He finally looked at me. The expression in his eyes was warmer than the joke deserved. You finished it. Before I could answer, the truck hit a deep rut. I slid sideways, and Cole caught me around the waist. His grip tightened through my uniform, steadying me against him. The whole thing lasted maybe 2 seconds. It felt longer. Careful, Walker. His voice dropped close to my ear. I am fine. You keep saying that. He let go slowly, his hand dragging away like he had forgotten other people were watching. Mason had not forgotten. From the bench across from us, he grinned. Mercer, you planning to carry him through the whole exercise too? A few guys laughed. I forced one out with them. He wishes. Cole went completely still. The laughter faded faster than it should have. Mason raised his eyebrows. Relax. I am joking. Cole looked down at his hands. Yeah, that was all. No comeback. No denial. Just one quiet word that made my stomach turn over. At the range, he became all business again. Corrections. Commands. Short answers. But when my shoulder started aching under the rifle, Cole noticed before I said anything. He stepped behind me and adjusted my stance, one hand on my upper arm, the other near my back. You are compensating. I am not. You are. His fingers pressed lightly into the muscle beneath my shoulder blade. This still hurting from yesterday? I glanced toward the others. Keep your voice down. His hand stayed there. Why? Because Mason already thinks you are obsessed with me. I meant it as a joke. At least, I tried to. Cole's eyes met mine over my shoulder. He did not smile. The air between us changed. Maybe Mason notices too much, he murmured. My throat went dry. What is that supposed to mean? An instructor called Cole's name from across the range. He stepped away immediately, expression closing off again. Nothing. But that night, while I was cleaning my gear alone, my phone buzzed. One message from Cole. You need to stop pretending you do not feel this too. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then another message appeared. Forget I sent that. Before I could answer, I heard voices outside the equipment room. Mason's voice. Then Cole's. And then I heard my own name. I should have walked away. Instead, I stayed behind the half-closed equipment room door with my phone still in my hand and Cole's message burning across the screen. Outside, Mason lowered his voice. You cannot keep doing this. Cole let out a tired breath. Doing what? Following Walker around like he is the only guy in the unit. My pulse jumped. There was a pause. Long enough that I stopped breathing. I am looking out for him, Cole finally replied. Mason gave a quiet laugh. Right. That is why you switched shifts, save him seats, remember his coffee, and almost broke my wrist during drills when I knocked him down. You came in too hard. It was training. Another silence. Then Mason's tone changed. Less teasing. More serious. Why are you avoiding him now? Cole did not answer right away. I could picture him standing there with his jaw tight, searching for a version of the truth he could live with. Because distance is better. For him, or for you. My stomach dropped. Cole shifted outside the door. His boots scraped lightly against the concrete. He does not need to get dragged into something I have not figured out. Mason stayed quiet. Cole continued, voice lower now. Every time he gets too close, I forget why I am supposed to keep this normal. The room seemed to tilt. I tightened my grip on the phone until the edge pressed into my palm. Mason murmured something I could not catch. Cole answered, no. He deserves better than somebody who cannot even say it out loud. That was when I backed into a metal shelf. A cleaning kit hit the floor with a sharp crash. Silence swallowed the hallway. Then footsteps moved toward me. I barely had time to shove my phone into my pocket before the door opened. Cole stood there, his expression unreadable. Mason glanced between us, muttered, I am going to pretend I was never here, and walked away. Cole stepped inside and pulled the door almost shut behind him. The small room suddenly felt even smaller. How long were you standing there? I came back for my gloves. That was not my question. His eyes stayed locked on mine. I tried to laugh, but nothing came out. I did not hear much. Cole moved one step closer. Walker. My back touched the shelf. What did you hear? Enough. His face tightened. Ethan. It was the first time he had used my first name. My heart started pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. You sent me that message. I whispered. Then you told me to forget it. I should not have sent it. Because it was not true? Cole stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I could feel the heat coming off him. His eyes dropped to my mouth for half a second, then lifted again. That is not why. Neither of us moved. I could hear his breathing. Mine was worse. His hand came up slowly, like he meant to touch my arm, but he stopped inches away. Then tell me why, I said. Cole's fingers curled into a fist. For 1 second, I thought he was going to close the distance. Instead, voices passed outside the door. He stepped back immediately. The space between us felt colder than it should have. Cole looked toward the hallway, then back at me. Not here. He reached for the door. I caught his wrist before I could stop myself. His eyes dropped to my hand. Neither of us pulled away. Do not disappear again, I said quietly. Cole turned his hand beneath mine, almost holding on. Almost. Then he let go. I will find you tomorrow. By the next morning, Cole had not found me. He barely looked in my direction during formation, and when our instructor paired us for a field exercise, Cole switched with Mason before I could say anything. That hurt more than I wanted it to. I told myself he was being careful. I told myself the equipment room had been a mistake. The problem was, I had spent half the night replaying the way he almost turned his hand beneath mine. During lunch, Mason dropped onto the bench across from me and stole one of my fries without asking. You look terrible. Good morning to you too. Did you sleep? Did you come over here to insult me? He leaned back, watching me with an expression that was too calm to be casual. Cole is trying to protect you. My stomach tightened. From what? Mostly himself. I glanced around the dining hall. Cole was sitting 3 tables away with 2 soldiers from logistics and a woman I had seen around the operations building. She was leaning close while showing him something on her phone. Cole smiled. A real smile. Easy. Familiar. Something sharp twisted in my chest. Mason followed my gaze and sighed. Do not do that. Do what? Make up the worst version of something because it is easier than asking. I looked down at my tray. I am not making up anything. That is his cousin, Rachel. I hated how relieved I felt. Mason noticed. Of course he did. You two are not subtle, he muttered. There is no you two. Sure. He stole another fry. That is why Mercer nearly started a fight yesterday when Parker joked about you. I looked up. What joke? Mason's expression shifted. Nothing important. Mason. He rubbed a hand over his jaw. Parker saw you and Cole leave the equipment room separately. He made some comment about special treatment. My chest went cold. Who else heard? A few people. Great. I pushed my tray away. Across the room, Cole noticed the movement. His eyes found mine immediately. That alone told me he had been watching. I stood and headed for the exit. He caught up with me near the stairwell. Ethan. I kept walking. You were supposed to find me. I know. Then why did you spend all morning avoiding me? Cole moved in front of me, forcing me to stop. Because Parker is talking. So this is exactly what I was trying to prevent. His voice stayed low, but tension pulled tight across his face. People start guessing. Then instructors notice. Then everything gets complicated. You mean I get complicated? That is not what I said. It is what you keep doing. I stepped closer before I could lose my nerve. You act like I matter when nobody is looking. Then the second someone notices, you disappear. Cole's jaw tightened. His eyes dropped briefly to my hand between us, like he wanted to reach for it. I am trying to keep this from becoming something that hurts you. You do not get to decide that for me. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. Cole moved back, putting space between us just as Parker rounded the corner. He looked from Cole to me, then smirked. Everything good? Fine. Cole answered too quickly. Parker walked past, still smiling. Cole waited until he was gone. This is what I mean. I stared at him. No. This is what you are afraid of. For a second, his expression cracked. Not anger. Fear. Real fear. Then he looked away. Maybe I have a reason. Before I could ask what it was, he turned and walked down the hall, leaving me with the one thing I had not considered. Cole was not just hiding how he felt. He was hiding why it scared him so much. The rain started halfway through the afternoon exercise. Not light rain. The kind that turned the dirt road into mud in minutes and soaked through everything before anyone had time to complain. By the time the order came to move back, the rest of the group had already loaded into the transport. Cole and I were assigned to check the equipment shed at the edge of the training area. Of course we were. Neither of us spoke while we counted cases and secured the door. The rain hammered the metal roof so hard it filled every silence for us. I finished the inventory and reached for the radio. We are done. Let us go. Cole did not move. He stood near the door, water dripping from his hair, watching me with the same guarded expression he had worn all day. Ethan. I kept my eyes on the clipboard. What? Look at me. Why? Because I am tired of talking to the side of your face. I set the clipboard down harder than I meant to. You are the one who keeps walking away. His jaw tightened. I know. Then stop. The words came out sharper than I expected. For a second, the only sound was rain. Cole stepped closer. Not enough to touch me. Enough that I noticed. Parker is not the reason I am scared. I swallowed. Then what is? His eyes dropped, then lifted again. You. My chest tightened. That is a terrible answer. You think I do not know that? He dragged a hand over his face. I have spent months telling myself this was nothing. That I was just looking out for you. That I would feel the same if it were anyone else. Would you? He looked at me for a long moment. No. The answer landed harder than anything else he could have said. I stopped breathing. Cole moved closer again. I notice when you are tired. I know when you are pretending to be fine. I know which seat you pick, how you take your coffee, which shoulder starts hurting first. His voice dropped. I know when you walk into a room, even when I am not looking at the door. My hands went cold despite the heat trapped inside the shed. Cole. I switched shifts because I wanted 4 hours alone with you. He gave a quiet, humorless laugh. That is not normal. I stared at him. Every excuse I had used for weeks fell apart at once. Then why keep acting like you want this to disappear? His expression softened. Because I do not know what happens if it does not. I stepped closer until barely any space remained between us. And what happened in the equipment room? His eyes dropped to my hand. It felt real to me. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. The message too? Especially the message. His fingers brushed mine. Maybe by accident. Maybe not. This time, he did not pull away. I do not want to go back to normal, he whispered. I turned my hand beneath his, letting our palms meet. Cole looked down at them like the sight scared him and relieved him at the same time. Then the radio crackled against my vest. Walker, Mercer, status? We stepped apart, but too late. The air between us had already changed. Cole reached for the radio, eyes still locked on mine. All clear. His thumb brushed my knuckle once before he let go. We are coming back. But neither of us moved toward the door. We finally left the shed 3 minutes later, but the moment we got back near the others, Cole changed. His shoulders went rigid. His face closed off. By the time we climbed into the transport, he sat across from me instead of beside me. I told myself he was being careful. That explanation worked for maybe 10 minutes. Then Parker leaned toward him and muttered something I could not hear. Cole glanced at me, looked away, and spent the rest of the ride staring out the window. The distance felt worse now that I knew what it had replaced. That night, I sent him a message. Are we going to talk about what happened? I watched the screen for 20 minutes. Nothing. An hour later, still nothing. By morning, the message showed as read. No reply. I found him outside the barracks before formation, checking his gear like it required his full attention. You saw my message. His hand stopped for half a second. Yeah, that is all I get. Cole glanced around. 2 soldiers were walking toward us from the parking lot. He lowered his voice. Not here. You keep saying that. Because people keep watching. Nobody is watching right now. His eyes finally met mine. You do not know that. Something in his tone made me step back. So you regret it. Cole frowned. What? The shed. The message. All of it. I did not say that. You did not say anything. I laughed once, but there was no humor in it. You told me you did not want to go back to normal, then ignored me for 12 hours. I was trying to think. About how to pretend it never happened. His jaw tightened. About what happens if it becomes real. It already felt real. The words came out louder than I meant them to. Cole looked toward the barracks entrance. Parker stood near the door, watching us with a cup of coffee in his hand. He looked away the second I noticed. Cole's expression changed. Fear again. The same fear I had seen in the hallway. This is exactly the problem, he whispered. I am the problem? No. He stepped closer, then stopped himself. Losing control is the problem. You mean caring about me? Cole looked down. That silence hurt more than an answer. I nodded slowly. Got it. I turned before he could see how much that landed. He caught my wrist. Not hard. Just enough to stop me. His fingers wrapped around the same place they had in the shed. Ethan, wait. I looked at his hand, then at him. Let go. He did, but his face tightened like it cost him something. I am not ashamed of you. Then what are you ashamed of? Cole opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Formation was called across the yard. Men started moving around us. The moment was gone. That is what I thought, I muttered. The rest of the day, I avoided him. I trained harder than I should have, volunteered for every extra task, and ignored the way Cole kept looking over whenever he thought I would not notice. By evening, a new duty sheet was posted outside operations. Cole's name had been moved to another training group. I stared at it until Mason stepped beside me. He requested the transfer this morning. My chest went cold. Before or after the shed? Mason did not answer. He did not have to. I found Cole packing his gear into a different locker. He looked up when I entered, and the guilt on his face told me everything. You are leaving? It is only another group. That is not what I asked. Cole closed the locker slowly. I thought distance might make this easier. My throat tightened. For who? He looked at me for a long time. I do not know anymore. For 3 days, Cole acted like the transfer had fixed something. New training group. Different lunch schedule. Different transport. Different side of the yard during formation. He still found me in every room. I would catch his eyes across the dining hall, and he would look away a second too late. During drills, I could feel him watching whenever I pushed too hard. Neither of us spoke. It was miserable. On the 4th afternoon, I nearly passed out during a timed run. I had skipped lunch and barely slept, but I kept moving because stopping felt worse. My vision blurred near the last turn. Then a hand grabbed my arm. Ethan. Cole's voice cut through everything. He pulled me off the course and lowered me onto a bench before I could argue. I am fine. Stop saying that. He crouched in front of me, one hand braced on my knee, the other holding out a bottle of water. His face was tight with panic. Real panic. Drink. Guys from both groups were watching. I could feel it. Cole could too. He did not move. I took the bottle. You left your group. I saw you stumble. So did everyone else. I got here first. The words came out too fast. Too honest. We stared at each other. Mason called from a few yards away, telling everyone to give us space. Cole stood, but his hand stayed on my shoulder. Can you walk? Yes. I am taking you inside. Cole. Not arguing. He led me into the empty medical hallway and shut the door behind us. The second we were alone, I pulled away. You cannot keep doing this. His breathing was still uneven. Doing what? Leaving, then running back the second something happens. You almost went down. That is not the point. It is to me. The hallway went quiet. Cole looked at the floor, then at me. I tried staying away. I noticed. I hated it. That stopped me. He rubbed both hands over his face. Every meal, every transport, every time I walked into a room and you were not beside me, I hated it. I swallowed. Then why request the transfer? Because I thought distance would make me stop wanting this. Did it? He laughed once, tired and bitter. You know it did not. I stepped closer. Then say what you are actually afraid of. Cole's jaw tightened. His eyes moved to the small window in the door, checking the hallway. I am afraid somebody notices before we understand what this is. I understand. Ethan. No, I closed the space between us. You keep deciding for both of us. You keep calling it protection, but it feels a lot like rejection. His hand lifted, then dropped again. I am not rejecting you. Then stop acting like caring about me is something you need to fix. Cole went completely still. I could see the fight in his face. Fear. Want. Shame. All of it. I am not ashamed of caring about you, he whispered. I am scared of how much I do. My chest tightened. Neither of us spoke for a few seconds. Then I held out my hand between us. Not dramatic. Just open. Waiting. Cole looked at it for a long time. Someone could walk in. Then let them see two people standing in a hallway. His mouth almost smiled. Almost. Then he placed his hand in mine. His fingers closed slowly, carefully, like he was learning the shape of the decision. I do not want normal back, I said. Cole looked up. His grip tightened. Neither do I. We did not become fearless overnight. The next morning, Cole still checked the hallway before sitting beside me at breakfast. I still noticed every voice that got too quiet when we walked past. Nothing outside us had changed, but something between us had. He set a coffee in front of me. Black. 1 packet of sugar. You look terrible. I wrapped both hands around the cup. You say that a lot. You keep earning it. His knee touched mine beneath the table. This time, he did not move it. Mason sat across from us, glanced down, then looked back up with the smallest grin. So we are done pretending you two hate each other? My heart kicked once. Cole's shoulders tensed beside me. I waited for him to pull away. He did not. Instead, he took a drink and looked at Mason. Eat your breakfast. Mason laughed. That is not a denial. Cole looked at me then. Just one glance. Quiet. Steady. Enough. Later that afternoon, he told our supervisor he wanted to cancel the transfer request. No speech. No excuse. Just a short conversation outside the operations room. When he came back, I was leaning against the wall, trying not to look like I had been waiting. Well, he stopped in front of me. I am staying. My chest loosened. Because the other group is terrible? Obviously. Nothing to do with me. Cole stepped closer, lowering his voice. You really need everything explained? Sometimes. His eyes held mine. Then yes, it has something to do with you. That weekend, we drove almost an hour from base to a diner neither of us had been to before. No uniforms. No schedule. No one calling our names across a yard. Cole looked different in a dark hoodie and worn jeans. Younger, maybe. Or just less guarded. We sat in a booth near the back and spent 20 minutes talking about everything except the reason we were there. Bad coffee. His cousin Rachel. My sister's latest disaster of a boyfriend. Normal things. Eventually, Cole turned his cup slowly between both hands. I noticed you the first week. I looked up. You barely spoke to me. I was trying not to. That went well. He smiled, then looked down. I kept finding reasons to be near you. The shift. Yeah. The seats. Yeah. The coffee. His smile faded into something softer. Especially the coffee. I put my hand on the table, palm up. Cole stared at it. For a second, I thought fear might win again. Then he placed his hand in mine. His fingers closed around mine, warm and firm. Neither of us moved when the waitress passed. Neither of us let go. Outside, beside his truck, Cole stopped under the parking lot lights. I do not know what this is supposed to look like. Neither do I. That does not bother you. I thought about every time I had lied to myself. Every time he had walked away because he was scared. Not as much as pretending. Cole nodded once. Then he leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to step back. I did not. The kiss was brief, careful, real. Afterward, he rested his forehead against mine and let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. You okay? Yeah. I smiled. You? Ask me tomorrow. We went back to base on Sunday night. Same gates, same barracks, same routine waiting for us. But on Monday morning, Cole saved me a seat in the transport. I sat beside him. Our shoulders touched. Mason looked over and raised an eyebrow. This time, neither of us moved away.